There are over 40 motor oil brands on American shelves right now, and most of them have nearly identical packaging, similar claims, similar price points, and almost no way for the average driver to tell them apart at a glance. But underneath those labels, the differences are significant. Independent engine wear testing, the kind that runs oils through thousands of miles under controlled stress conditions, consistently shows a spread between the best and worst performers that can mean the difference between an engine lasting 300,000 miles and one that starts showing wear at 80. That spread doesn't show up in the marketing, it doesn't show up on the bottle, and in most cases, it doesn't show up in the advice you get at the quick lube counter, because the person behind the counter is selling you what their shop stocks, not what the data says. This video is the data. Third-party wear analysis from used oil testing labs, viscosity retention scores from independent dyno tests, additive package breakdowns from engineering reports, and long-term consumer reliability data across hundreds of thousands of oil changes. That's what we looked at. What came back wasn't what the TV commercials would have you expect. Some of the most aggressively marketed brands in America ranked near the bottom. Some of the quietest names on the shelf ranked at the top. Here's every major motor oil brand ranked from worst to best and the reasons behind each one. We start at the bottom because that's where the most money gets wasted. Quaker State. Once one of the most trusted names in American motor oil, Quaker State has spent the last 2 decades coasting on legacy brand recognition while its formulations quietly fell behind. Independent used oil analysis consistently shows higher levels of wear metals, particularly iron and copper, compared to category competitors at the same mileage intervals. The additive package, which is responsible for neutralizing acids and protecting metal surfaces under heat, degrades faster than it should for a brand at this price point. It's not an engine killer, but you're paying for a reputation the product no longer earns. Pennzoil Conventional. There's an important distinction here. Pennzoil's full synthetic line is a different story, and we'll get to that. But their conventional oil, still widely sold and still widely recommended at quick lube shops across the country, underperforms in viscosity retention tests. Under sustained heat, it thins out faster than competing conventional oils, which means it's providing less protection during the exact operating conditions your engine faces most. If your shop is defaulting to Pennzoil Conventional without asking, that's worth knowing. Havoline, a Chevron brand, and another case of conventional formulations dragging down an otherwise respectable name. Havoline's synthetic offerings are competent, but their conventional line shows inconsistent additive concentrations across production batches, something that showed up repeatedly in independent lab analysis and isn't something you'd ever see on the label. Batch inconsistency at scale is a quiet problem in this segment of the market, and Havoline has it. Supertech, Walmart's house brand, and before the instinct to dismiss it kicks in, Supertech actually passes the basic API certification requirements. It won't destroy your engine, but it sits at the bottom of the rankings for one specific reason. Its synthetic blend formulations are the thinnest in terms of actual synthetic base oil content, while still legally qualifying as a blend. That legal threshold is lower than most drivers assume. Supertech hits the floor and stops there. These brands represent the bottom of the ranking, not because they're dangerous, but because they consistently underdeliver relative to what their marketing, their price point, or their reputation suggests you're getting. The middle of this ranking is where most American engines are running right now, and it's not a bad place to be. These brands are competent. Some of them are genuinely good, but each one has a specific limitation that keeps it out of the top tier. Castrol GTX Conventional. Castrol is one of the oldest oil brands in the world, and their conventional GTX line reflects that heritage in both good and bad ways. The formulation is stable, the additive package is consistent, and the brand has genuine engineering credibility behind it. The limitation is that their conventional line hasn't been meaningfully updated in years. It does what it was designed to do, but what it was designed to do is no longer best in class for modern engines, which run hotter, tighter, and with longer service intervals than the engines GTX was built around. Valvoline high mileage. Valvoline's high mileage formulation, specifically targeting vehicles over 75,000 miles, is one of the more thoughtfully engineered products in this segment. The seal conditioner additives work. The slightly higher viscosity helps aging engines that have developed minor clearance gaps from normal wear. It earns its place in the middle tier because it genuinely performs its intended function, but the base oil quality in Valvoline's conventional and high mileage blends doesn't match the additive sophistication. The chemistry is trying to compensate for a foundation that could be stronger. Castrol Edge. This is Castrol's synthetic flagship, and it's a significant step up from the GTX line. Edge uses a titanium fluid strength technology that Castrol has invested serious engineering resources into, and the viscosity retention data backs it up. Under high load conditions, Edge holds its viscosity longer than most competitors in the same price bracket. It loses points in the ranking for one reason: thermal breakdown. In extended drain interval testing, the kind of analysis that matters if you're pushing past the recommended change interval, Edge degrades faster than the top-tier synthetics. For drivers who change oil on schedule, it's excellent. For drivers who go long, it's a liability. Royal Purple. Marketed aggressively toward performance enthusiasts, Royal Purple has genuine engineering behind it. The ester-based additive package provides real friction reduction, and the wear protection numbers in fresh oil testing are strong. The issue is price to performance. Royal Purple costs nearly as much as the top-tier oils on this list while delivering protection metrics that fall short of them. You're paying a premium for branding that the product partially, but not fully, justifies. The top of this ranking is smaller than most people expect. There are 4 brands that consistently separate themselves from the field across every meaningful metric: wear protection, viscosity retention, thermal stability, and extended drain performance. 2 of them you've heard of. 2 of them the average driver walks right past every time they're in the auto parts store. Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic. The same brand that placed in the bottom tier for its conventional line earns a top-tier spot here because Pennzoil Platinum is a fundamentally different product built on a fundamentally different base. It's made from natural gas using a proprietary Pure Plus technology that converts gas molecules into a crystal clear base oil, and the result is a base stock with fewer impurities than traditional crude-derived synthetics. In wear scar testing, the standard measure of how much metal-to-metal contact occurs under load, Pennzoil Platinum consistently produces smaller wear scars than nearly every competitor. That's not marketing, that's chemistry. Mobil 1, the benchmark. Mobil 1 has been the reference point for full synthetic motor oil performance for over 50 years, and the current formulations justify that reputation. The extended performance line holds its protective properties reliably past the 10,000-mile mark in controlled testing. The viscosity index, the measure of how consistently an oil maintains its thickness across temperature extremes, is among the highest in the consumer market. Mechanics who pay for their own oil tend to run Mobil 1. That's a data point worth taking seriously. AmSoil Signature Series. The brand most drivers haven't tried. AmSoil is sold primarily through dealerships and online rather than at retail chains, which is partly why it flies under the radar and partly why it's been able to maintain formulation standards that shelf competition brands have to compromise on for cost. AmSoil's Signature Series leads the category in extended drain interval testing at 25,000 miles, a number that sounds extreme until you see the used oil analysis reports behind it. The wear metal counts at that interval are lower than some competing oils show at 5,000 miles. It's the most expensive oil on this list, and the cost per mile math when you account for drain intervals makes it competitive. Redline, another specialty brand built for high-performance applications that quietly outperforms general-use synthetics in everyday engines. Redline's ester content, the highest quality base oil component, exceeds every other brand on this list. Ester base oils bond to metal surfaces at a molecular level, providing a residual protective film that persists even after the engine sits overnight. For high-mileage engines, turbocharged engines, or any driver who wants the ceiling of available protection, Redline is the answer. Here's what this ranking actually means for you. If you're running a conventional oil from the bottom tier, you're not in immediate danger, but you are leaving protection on the table that your engine is paying for in the long run. The wear accumulates slowly. It doesn't show up as a check engine light. It shows up as an engine that starts burning oil at 90,000 miles instead of lasting 200. If you're running anything in the middle tier, you're in reasonable shape. Stay on your change intervals and don't push past the recommended mileage expecting those oils to hold up. And if you want the ceiling, Mobil 1, Pennzoil Platinum, AmSoil, or Redline, pick one and stay consistent. The brand matters less than the habit. One thing the oil industry counts on is that most drivers never look past the label. Now you have. If this breakdown saved you money or changed what you're putting in your engine, subscribe, because this is exactly the kind of information we cover every week. The stuff the industry hopes you don't find. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more.